Hi, it's Michelle from Movement Lesson, and I've been talking with a mom whose daughter was born with the hip not formed properly. So the femur does not attach into the hip joint. The femoral head didn't, it went straight, there's no angle. And we're talking about movement and child development. And so there's a matter of fact of opinions of, do they need to do the hip surgery or just leave her? Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm talking about movement. So just to explain where I see stuff that needs to happen or movement. So when a baby is here and learning, let's say, and they're doing all of these kind of movements, everything gels together. And then they will start, if they go this way, so this way, head left, the legs will counter to the right, and vice versa. When a child goes same, then they kind of fall over. That's not how a baby works. A baby will eventually rotate out and rotate out this way. And what the hips do, part of that, is the symmetry, but also the counterbalance, it's the asymmetry. So if a child's presented without, and I'm going to go with this leg just because this is what's closer to the camera. So if the leg's not attached, so you'll start to see movements like this, because what the child needs to do will have to do again where that counter now has to come from. Instead of the counter being here, the counter now is through here, through the legs. So you'll start to see movements like this to move the body around, because that's what it's going to take now. Now I have to lift my head. So you're going to get, just from the hip not being in, more, let's say, cerebral palsy type of movements, because the body needs to go into a lift versus transfer weight. Babies transfer their weight. They have an object too, they bring it into them. So now if I'm bringing in an object, let's say, and my leg is like this. So this is where you'll see almost that galloping to hold and try and look at an object. And so now the eyes have a lot more momentum. So this is where I go after. It's just that I'm running out of breath. A child has to go through so much more momentum, physical activity. It'll make their life look like work. I see this a lot of times. Oh, my baby's here to work hard. No, babies don't work at all. Everything they do is through movements, and to you and I, it looks like they're working. But it's just play. And if they hit the ball, don't hit the ball, that's all good to them. They're still getting cause and effect. We're looking for, okay, we hit the ball so many times, we picked up the ball, we're looking for actions that are sequencing. But if I kick the ball with my feet or my hands, woohoo, it's a good day. It's a different type of mentality. And eventually they'll learn to control it, and eventually they'll learn how to start manipulating those actions and repeating them and all of that. However, they aren't meant to do certain things like lift as a baby. But again, now if my leg is not attached, now I don't have that counter through the pelvis. So for me to get around, which really would have been a simple act of just going like this, that's a completely different action. So this is what's my concern is too. So again, sorry, you're going to get my backside because I'm going with this leg being off. So if I now have to, this way now, to roll over, look at where I am, and I still don't even have my bum up because of this leg going long, and because the femur is actually in a sense dragging behind, and I'm also not going to have that rotation through the leg. So you're just going to have, so again, I'm going to have to grab this table literally, or I can't go this way. So now if the leg is long this way, and so I'm here like this, and you can try it on your own, what I have to do to come over now this leg is just long. At this point, I can't get up on all fours because that leg can't present to the floor. So if I wanted to get up, like say on my belly, now I'm going to have to move over because I'm bigger than my table. So if I have to go here, now I'm long. And again, my leg still isn't, do you know what I mean? Like what I have to do, because I'm not getting the floor clearance to get my leg underneath me. But because it's not attached, I'm not going to get this hip or the knee to come underneath me. So that's where you're going to see the leg long, because that mechanism is not there. I've dislocated my knee, and when it's dislocated, man, there's no function going down the rest of the leg. Literally woke up in my sleep saying, am I having a stroke? Because I couldn't wiggle my toes, I'm like, no, I'm thinking too well, I didn't stroke. I dislocated my knee. So I'm always after efficiency and movement. I'm not here to find fault with anybody. That's not how I work. I don't care if you have scoliosis to this degree. I'm looking at what can I do in that position to help that person move around the scoliosis, and then hopefully too that the scoliosis doesn't need to be there anymore. As an example, so when a doctor says that the hip being out or not out really doesn't do much to the system, I can't respond to that. So we're all built the same way for a reason. I get it, even if someone's had hip replacement. Now there's hardware in a body that wasn't there before, and I have to teach that body to work, integrate that hardware, realize there's going to be no movement going through the hardware. The movement needs to go around the hardware. Even if this hip is totally jammed up, then I have to make the feet more supple and the chest more supple to do all of those things. But when the hip isn't even attached in, what it's going to do to the pelvic region and the way I move, I now have to go to such a different level of movement that I don't think the brain's used to doing. And it takes a more complex action to redirect all of that. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to put the x-ray at the end of the video so you can see it, but that's how I see movement when the hip's not in. Thanks.
The Newborn Movement Assessment Guide is available at Amazon.com and at the newbornmovementassessment.com website. Out of necessity to help her globally delayed child, Michelle Turner, Movement Integration Specialist for children throughout the world.